Hi Libra, it's Denise, and welcome to Divine Soul Astrology. Today we're talking about the nodes, the lunar nodes being squared by Uranus. All right, it is a big deal, and the square is in effect right now, but it will make a perfect square on June 12th of this year, which is, just about, it's not even a month away. So when we have the perfect square, we're going to see everything, not, well, everything. We're going to see Uranus, we're going to see the South Node and the North Node here, all at 2 degrees. And Uranus comes in it can come in like a tower, but Uranus is about change and liberation and innovation. It disrupts us. I have a whole video on that, but it disrupts us so it can liberate us and make things better. It takes us away from old structures and old beliefs and old outdated, anything that is not kind of bringing progress or yeah, bringing progress or kind of innovation into your life. All right. Now, Uranus is in very intelligent or cerebral Gemini, right? And so the way we're going to be thinking over the next 7 years is going to change, right? That is, I have a whole video on Uranus in Gemini. But for now, we're talking about the nodes. So there's going to be some type of a major recognition because each Uranus and the nodes are both at 2 degrees. They're all at 2 degrees, and a six is recognizing something. I think I mentioned that. So, here we have this is going to be for you, Libra, Sun, Moon, and Rising. And what we have here for you, let me take a look at these notes. I just made some notes here. We have Uranus is in your ninth house, and I have you here on the ascendant, so you're able to see here, right? You're able to see your chart a little bit better here, at least this general chart for Librans. And so here we have Uranus in your ninth house of higher purpose, education, growth and expansion, and wisdom. Yeah, it's also about long distance travel. It is, and anything related to kind of worldly things, like education and and traveling, culture, things like that, faraway land. So here's Uranus, and it is squaring. It's being ruled by Mercury, and this is interesting, and it's important to note because the South Node is also being ruled by Mercury because Mercury rules Gemini and Virgo. Now, so here we have Uranus making that square, and that square is to your 12th house of endings, right? So we can see the square when I have, kind of, you can see it right here. This kind of, these two squares here. Now that South Node that is in your 12th house of endings, this is also the house where you can't see things. It's the hidden house. It can be also related to the house of loss. It just depends, right? Now, how this is kind of how this may, play out in your own life. I'm not saying you're going to lose anything. I'm not necessarily saying that at all. But what I am saying is that it is a place of release. That is true. And why do we release? Because things, sometimes that is the house. It's kind of it can be a house of addictions and vices and self-undoing. So this is why it's associated with loss. But that South Node is there being ruled by Mercury in your 12th house. So the 12th house is, since it's such a mystery house, you may be seeing things you weren't able to see before because of major change that Uranus is bringing. Now, the square itself is a challenge. The square is asking us to do something different. So is Uranus, big time, right? Uranus is changing things, whether we like it or not, over the next 7 years, however subtle or however maybe, dynamic in your life. So here we have that square and both ruled by Mercury. So this has a lot to do with the way you think, um, and yeah, the way you think, your decisions, and what you're curious about. It can be, and because Gemini rules the mind, as I was saying, which can rule plans and goals, anything that you're kind of thinking about, your communication. And so that 12th house, though, the South Node sits there. The South Node is associated with the past, but it's associated with the past that we need to move away from. Great to have good memories, of course, but um, you know, It's the past is the past and it is the familiar. So sometimes our talents are there, everything we know how to do so well, but the South Node is associated with limiting us rather than having us expand. So the North Node is here being squared as well. And that is our soul's mission. That's why this is such an important event, I would say, right? This aspect, this configuration. And it's going to last until October 16th, around the middle of October of this year. So we're going to be feeling that. We may be feeling it now, right? So Mercury, and let's look at Mercury too. Mercury is ruling your ninth house of growth and expansion and your 12th house here. Um, and also Mercury is in right now. Where is Mercury right now? Mercury is in Cancer. And let's go ahead and, light that back up and we'll find Mercury. Mercury is a little student, as I see it, right? And where is he? And I said it's in Cancer right here. So he has a little hat to go to school because Mercury represents thinking. And so here is Mercury in your 10th house of career on the 12th. It's right now, I believe uh it's in Gemini, I believe. I could be forgetting here. I'm not gonna, I won't, commit to that, okay? But we're looking at the 12th here at the perfect time. So we're talking about that time right now. But here's Mercury showing up I feel like it's right at the end of Taurus, though, where Mercury is, But here's Mercury, and it's in Cancer, in your 10th house of career. This is also the house of your personal authority over your own life and how you show yourself to people, your reputation, how they may classify you. So that house is also the house of long-term goals and consolidating things, and your social status, your social roles, whatever that may be, and your status as well. So Mercury is there helping you with your career or your status or some type of role that you might be really stepping into. You might look different, in the next 7 years. We all change, but that's what Uranus is bringing, right? And Uranus is ruling your ninth house of growth and expansion. So you're going to change quite a bit. And the square is pushing you kind of to do that. The square wants us to feel uncomfortable, so we will, let's go back to Uranus. So, Uranus rather, but the square wants us to grow. It wants us to reach our true potential, our soul's mission, and things like that. The square here to the nodes, right? Now, yeah, Mercury is in that 10th house. And so we have your natal Venus at the time on June 12th here, which I have marked right here. But natal Venus is at 29th degree, 29 degrees of Cancer. Venus loves to be in Cancer. It will move into Leo just a couple days later, a few days later, I believe. It's at the 29th degree. It's asking you to do something for yourself, how you show up in the world, or how people might see you, your own authority over your own life, possibly your reputation or, career, things like that, your status even. So Venus is there asking you to do that, okay? It's in nurturing Cancer. So you should be feeling, with Venus there, you should be feeling it's a benefic. Venus is supporting you there in your house of career, all right? Now, um, and let's see what else I have here. So I also have, yeah, we talked about the South Node to Virgo. So Virgo, these South nodes, they're in an axis, right? And they are associated with the past, lack, as I was saying, whatever limits us. It can be wounds, it can be family lineage. It's kind of, linked with a lot. But, it's almost like you're carrying a bag here, like it's baggage. You see the way it is here. It has like a little handle, little loops at the top, and, a purse, underneath, sort of, right? Um, and over here, it looks like you're kind of, in the North Node, looks like you're skipping rope or you're reaching up basically for that, the top of the North Node. And the North Nodes are points in the sky. They are the ones that create eclipses. They are. They're not planets, but they're points in the sky. So we have that South Node in Virgo. And when we have the Virgo and the Pisces axis, that's what it is, right? This is what I have in my chart. But when we have that, it is related to our health as well. So, yeah, and so here we have, I mean, there can be a time of healing as well. And also, the North Node is in your sixth house of health and work. You see that? This is health and wellness, and also service and work. Right. And this is also how you manage your daily life or anything that is really important, your responsibilities, your daily routines, your habits, and things like that, that really kind of make your life, right? Now, that North Node there with Virgo, I mean, in Pisces, this axis really where, there's a constant opposition going on because they are, right, they're in opposite signs, Virgo and Pisces. Although they both are related to health, Virgo is more of the physical health, and Pisces is more of the mental health or emotional health. And it is showing that right there that they are linked. Okay, don't ever let anybody tell you that your mental health has nothing to do with your physical health, or your physical health has nothing to do with your mental health. Yeah, no, they're completely hooked, right? They're completely linked. So, and that is the idea of this as well. So, the health too. Sometimes we can talk about the health of your 12th house, right? And the 12th house is kind of, it's a mystery, right? But Virgo, the idea of this axis where the nodes are to help us to move away from perfection or trying to be perfect. Nothing has to be perfect in this world. I've been there. I have that placement. Yeah, I have actually my North Node is in Virgo and my South is in Pisces. But I understand that whole thing about wanting to be perfect. And there's nothing perfect on this earth except a baby and nature. That's it. Okay. So, um, yeah. So, no need to be perfect or trying to, rethink things and redo things. Don't do all that. Right. And that's what it's saying. It's saying, but blend the practical habits and attitudes of Virgo, which is like a slower energy. It's an earth energy. And blend those practical grounding with the energy of Pisces, which is, go with the flow, right? Pisces wants you to trust your intuition, trust in your dreams and visions, and just like all is well. Now, the lower expression of Pisces is fears and doubts, right? There's always an opposite uh to the same theme, in a sign, right? That's how it is because as we grow and evolve, we move into our higher selves, which would be the higher energy of Pisces there, okay? Which is trusting in your dreams, having hope, being compassionate also to yourself, not only others. And we see the link here because Virgo is about service, right? And that's that opposition is asking us to blend the best of Virgo and Pisces. All right. Now, uh, yeah, and this can say that kind of your daily work because you have Pisces in the sixth house or the North Node in your sixth house. Your daily life, can really help you feel good and feel better about your life. Yeah, that can be definitely saying that with the North Node in that sixth house. All right. So that North Node is really asking you to, trust in your higher purpose because the North Node is your soul's mission. It is fate and destiny. It is your higher purpose. It's just all things beautiful. Now, the North Node is where we are always going, and the South Node is where we are moving away from. It's kind of like you're moving from LA to, San Francisco, right? I'm not telling you to do that, of course. Right? The sun's down in LA more. Yeah, it is. But you can live outside of San Francisco, right? But the point about it is that this North Node for you is in your house of, I mentioned this, but your health and wellness and service and work. Um, these are also houses of obstacles. They both are because this can be the house of loss and this is obstacles. So there's something that will definitely improve for you about with your daily life, but you're being pushed to take the challenge, basically. A square is a little bit of inner tension for us, right? Doesn't mean you're not going to sleep at night. No, it doesn't have to be like that. But a little bit of inner tension, wanting us to make some type of an adjustment. So here's your North Node in Pisces. So this is saying that if you kind of go with the flow here, really, and you feel the square and you feel a need for change because Uranus is doing that. Uranus is making the square to the nodes. And the nodes are, about the very important things in your life. And things of the past life with the South Node that relate to this life. Yeah, the South Node can be past lives that we are sometimes holding on to in this lifetime, or holding on to kind of, if our parents went through some type of major pain, we feel like we have to feel that pain too, right? That is only one example, right? No, you never have to feel anybody else's pain. Don't ever do that. No. And that is kind of, that can be self-sacrificial. But we have Pisces here. The 12th house is self-sacrificing. So it's asking you, Libra, to not do that anymore. And then your daily life, will be even, it will be smoother. Your health will be better. Your work, because that is the sixth house, right, can really help affect your work as well, right? We all know when we're feeling our best that we can give our best at work, right? Even, right, of course. So we have natal Mercury in Cancer. I don't know if I mentioned that at the beginning, but natal Mercury is the thinking. Yeah, I feel like I might have, but natal Mercury in the 10th house is supporting. I think I talked about Venus here, but Mercury here is supporting. It's your thinking and your mind. So it's supporting your career and how you show yourself to the world, and actually supporting more of personal agency for yourself, more authority over your own life. Yeah, it definitely is. We also see the sextile from Uranus to, it's really from Venus to Uranus. Yeah, because the faster moving planet is kind of, making the pushing this into place, or, starting it or implementing it. And so we have Venus, here, um, and making that sextile to Uranus. Now, Venus, so this is a sextile is something, it can be an opportunity if you are able to kind of go with the flow, or able to, if you are able to kind of listen to, the quiet, the quietude of your mind, sort of, right? Because Uranus is really trying to bring in change. Now, Uranus is also spiritual. It can be the spiritual dimension. It really can. So we also have Venus right here is ruling your eighth house of transformation right here. So there's a big change for you. There definitely is. That's in Taurus. Your values might change. There could be, Venus is actually at the time supporting, how it rules your 10th, I mean your eighth. Um, yeah, this could be helping you with your intimate relationships or intimate affairs, money and things like that. It's also in Taurus, which is, money, right? And our values and things like that. And the material comfort, or, how comfortable our lives can be. That's what Taurus wants for us, material comfort. So, now let's talk about Jupiter too. And Jupiter of the um, at the time of the square here, this configuration, we have Jupiter. It's in Cancer. This is once again your 10th house of career. There's a lot of support for your career and change, because this house is the where the North Node is the house of work as well. Here we have career, and long-term assets, long-term consolidating and goals and things like that, and your authority over your own life, which is really, to me, the most important thing, right? So yeah, and so we have Jupiter is there at 26 degrees in Cancer, but let's look again here at Venus. Venus is at 29 degrees. It's asking you to do something as it relates to those 10th house themes I was just talking about. All right, Venus is asking you to do something there on the day of the square. You're likely to feel this big time, especially as it will be in that perfect square. Yeah, and so Jupiter, we'll talk about Jupiter because Jupiter is the ruler here of the North Node. Jupiter rules Pisces and Sagittarius. All right. So here we have Jupiter, excuse me, you guys. Jupiter's in that 10th house supporting your career, and it is supporting your house of work. Jupiter is supporting your third house of thinking and communication. This is the third house of goals, plans and goals, decisions, willpower, even. It has to do with siblings as well, and that, or the local, whatever is local kind of, or very familiar to you. This can be the neighborhood, right? But we have Black Moon Lilith there in your third house. So there's something that will be, this is your shadow, And the sun makes that opposition to um, in Gemini, which is very important because everything there's so much rulership here. There's so much energy from Mercury, right? There's so much rulership as well here where the node is and Gemini and Uranus as well. So this is looking really good for you, but it might not feel so comfortable for you, Libra, but it is. Uranus wants to support us. Yeah, it does. And so with the square, and the squares are trying to help us get to our soul's mission, okay, our true potential, our higher purpose, and things like that. So it is looking really good for you. And thank you so much for joining me here, Libra. If you'd like a reading with me, check out the description box below. And please like, share, and subscribe. Hit the little bell, and you'll be notified of my next upload. Thanks so much for joining me here.